Well, good morning. This is Tom. Welcome to the farm. Well, today's the day. Today's the day I have to switch my fish over to a bigger tank. I've got these little baby tilapia that I've got, and they've gotten up to about 3 or 4 inches long. And that's when they decide they become cannibals, like apparently. So I'm gonna have to switch them over, separate them out from the larger fish to the smaller fish, and try to get them separated. I'm not 100% sure I'll be able to, because they're kind of rough, and they're pretty aggressive right now and skittish. So I have to be careful to not cause problems with them, because they end up slamming into the side of the tanks and concussing themselves, and well, then they swim in circles for a while and die, or they pull out of it, or while they're disabled, all the other fish decide to eat them. So yeah, if it's not one thing, it's another. But anyway, I will, that's what I've got on the books for today. What are you guys doing? All right, so what I have here is I've got 4 tanks here. One of them has my bigger fish in it in the middle. The 2 other tanks are water that was getting ready to be used for the smaller fish. I have the smaller fish over here in the grow out. They just get up, they go from like anywhere from 3/8 of an inch long, ½ inch, up to like 3.5 or 4 inches long. And that's when they can become ready to move on to the bigger tank. So I have to move them today from this tank to one of these tanks. I have to move the filtration system over to one of these tanks, and it's going to be a job. I'll take you over here so you can kind of see what we're dealing with. Now these fish are very skittish. I'm not sure you'll be able to see much, because if they see light, they kind of freak out. I don't know if you can see anything or not. They move around so much. Now the heater I got that online, and I use it in all my tanks, and they're absolutely amazing. They're Tiger. I'll show you here in a bit one of the boxes. The company's easy to work with. It's just been really good. Those little terracotta things in there, they're made for the little fish to hide in, because if you don't have someplace for them to go, they just lose it. They get very stressed very quickly. You got to see that what I'm working with is not high tech. Nothing about this place is high tech. I mean, it's an old wood frame garage, and it's not even insulated. The only thing that's keeping these tanks alive are the heaters that's in them. But these are what I use. By Higer. I'm not paid by these guys or nothing. I'm not, nobody gives me, I don't get a royalty check on any of this stuff. I'm just saying that this is the only thing I found that actually works. Running those and having a pump going at the same time, circulating that water around, really makes a difference on the survival of these fish. What's really cool about these heaters is that I can look in here. I don't have to go over and check the water with a thermometer, which I used to do all the time. I can actually just look at the digital readout on the wall that goes with it, and it tells me what I have it set at and what it's carrying what it's actually reading in the water. And if this is red, that means it's heating up. You'll see this every now and then drop to like 85, but it keeps it pretty much at the mark. And you can heat one of these big tanks up relatively quickly compared to other methods I've found. The only thing with these heaters is if you look, They have like ceramic rods in them, and when you pick them up, they actually attract the dirt and waste, so you got to knock them out every now and then. It's nothing major, but it is something that you want to keep up with as far as maintenance goes. Kind of gross. Could be worse. Now what I have to do is I actually have to transfer the water out of this tank into holding tanks and get it out of here and just leave a little bit of water in the bottom of the tank so I can actually handle these fish without them hurting themselves. What I usually do is I siphon off, I have it come through the pump up through the tank, and instead of the tank returning it back to the holding tank for the fish, I usually just turn it around and divert it to another tank and then pump it to holding tanks outside, because the water, it is valuable for gardens, herbalists and all that. The problem is around here we don't really have a market for it. My wife uses it all the time for her greenhouse and for her she makes lotion bars and things like that, and it's all natural. So she grows her own stuff, her basil, and all of her different herbs. She grows them and then puts it into oil and puts it into lotion bars. But she swears by the fish water, that it's great for the gardens. I've put it on my garden before, and it works pretty well. I mean, I don't know. I'm not the best gardener in the world, even though I try real hard. But anyway, I think right now it's probably just going to go to waste. As much as I hate it, it probably will. I'm probably just going to run it into this holding tank here, because this is an empty, and that way at least it's saved. I'm not just dumping it out on the ground. I think I'm going to put it in there. If you want it, give me a call. You can come and get it. Just kidding. Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to do that. It's going to take me a second to get it set up, so I'll probably just pause you guys on that, and then once I get it going, I'll come back to you. Okay, so what I've done is I ran pipes that go normally just drop down into this tank, turned them, and run them over to just drain into this one. And what will happen is it'll pull water out of this tank down to the top of the filter, but it'll also pull everything out of this filter system over here. And I'll show you this filter system later. It's a little bit more complicated, but it's really not that big of a deal. This will siphon every bit of water out of this filter tank over here. All right, you can kind of see a little bit better. I'll bring you over here so you can see what's going on. Now, this is something I built myself. I have a bucket with holes in the bottom, full of rock, and then around the outside perimeter of it, I have a filler material, kind of like pillow stuffing. I don't know if you can see down in there or not, but what it does is it comes out of a small filter box over on that side and pumps it into this over here. See, it's already starting to get too low for that. But what it should do is it should siphon most of this water. Well, it won't. I'll have to have that set up. Now that I look at it, I'll have to set up a different siphon. But that's okay. Anyway, you can kind of see how I'm doing this. I don't know how much background noise is going on this thing, because that's pretty freaking noisy. And if I had my druthers, I would have it 90 down into the tank and quiet it down quite a bit. But I've ran out of 90s, so I'll have to buy more. PVC's cheap. But anyway, any of you guys that saw it before, when I first got my baby fish, I put them all in there, and I didn't have a little filter box down in the bottom. Basically a screen, Tupperware box with holes in it and a screen on top. And what that does, that keeps the baby fish out of the pump. I lost like 15 or 20 fish just like that, because they got sucked into the pump, and I just couldn't believe it. And they were so small, so little, you just had no idea it was there. maybe 6, but live and learn. Anyway, another little helpful tip. Um, Only use one rag when you're messing with fish to dry your hands on. I think I might have contaminated the other tank that time by using a grease rag or something, and that just screwed everything. I don't know what happened to them, honestly. That's the only thing I can come up with. So, just a little word to the wise. Okay, I basically made a very rudimentary siphon to get this filter siphoned out, get the water out of it. And I'll show you real quick how I did it. It's not real difficult, but anyway, I took some 1-inch PVC, basically cut it to size, submerged the one side underwater, had a valve I shut off, tipped it up, let the water run down to this side. Then I stuck it back underwater, filled up that tube, brought it up here, hooked it to this, and now it's siphoning out the filter. Once I get this all siphoned out, I'll be able to move it. With it full like that, there's just no way I can move it. Basically, what I have here for a filter is just an old lick tub that I cleaned out. Nothing real complex, but it sure works well. And these fish don't want super clean water. They want water that's not the best in the world. I don't know why, it's just their nature. I mean, they'll stay in clean water, they will stay in dirty water. It really doesn't matter. They're grass eaters, so I mean, if there's any kind of algae forms or any kind of moss forms, they'll eat it. They don't care. But they'll also eat each other if you're not careful too. So anyway, one thing interesting I found is that little filter housing that I have sitting over here. It's just basically a Tupperware with some screen on top. I'll show you. It's nothing complicated. Matter of fact, I broke it whenever I was trying to put it together. It's just screen on top of a Tupperware, but I have the pump down inside it. It cycles up, goes through this, down through, filters out, and comes out those little tubes right there that falls into the water tank. Nothing big. Anyway, whenever I didn't have that pump in there, or didn't have that filter housing in there, I ended up sucking up a bunch of baby fish, and I lost a crap ton of them, and it really sucked, but I hadn't had it out since. Well, when I pulled it out to dump the water out and get the pump out, there was a fish inside of it. I mean, a little one. So apparently, one of the baby fish that was in the pump survived and has been living in that filter housing since I switched over to it. I guess, and it's been living off the food that filters down through there. I mean, but it's alive and well. It's way smaller than the rest of the fish, so I'm assuming it's stunted growth from the lack of food. But it'll catch up pretty quick. So. But anyway, it was very interesting. I'd never heard of such a thing. So anyway, I thought before I got too carried away, I better get this tank siphoned down a little bit farther, because these fish go crazy when you're trying to get them screened out of there. Thought I'd show you real quick how I do this as far as getting things to siphon. Sometimes you break your siphon too, so basically I just have a U-shaped pipe. I don't use glue on it or anything, because these are bevel fittings, so I mean, it's not like they don't hold together pretty well. You just stick them in there, press them together pretty tight, and they'll move on you. So that's just how it is. Anyway, so I stick that end in the water, give it time for it to bubble out, close, you can't really see it, been down here, close the valve off, then I reach in this end, because it will come apart. Oh, tip this down, let the valve open again, and you can hear it move inside here, and then shut the valve again, Then I put this end in the water again and let it finish bubbling out. This valve's holding the water in this side. Here it finished bubbling. Shut the valve again. Ah, shoot, I just lost it. Well, that's not how it was supposed to work. So now I've got to do it again. And normally I would just delete that out so you wouldn't see that I was an absolute moron. But anyway, I always thought, you know what? These guys on these shows, they don't always show where they screw up, but I thought, well, I'll just show you. So anyway, let's do it again. Get that bottom pipe full of water. Turn the valve off. That seals off this. Reach in here, grab this end, pick it up, put it like this. So that's up, holding water. Turn this on, and you'll hear water shoot through up to here, or up to this valve. Turn that valve off again. Now, when I tip this down, this pipe will fill up with water. Make sure it gets under the water. And bubble, bubble, bubble. When it stops bubbling, we'll have water basically from here to there. Now I'm going to stick it over into this filter. Can't hardly see it. Into this filter and get it siphoning again too. Okay, I'm showing you all the mistakes and everything. Anyway, so I've got this pipe full of water up to this valve. Got a hole right here in the screen. I'm going to stab this down to the bottom, open the valve, and it'll start siphoning this out again. I didn't get it all siphoned out before the first time because I wanted to get this fish tank done. Stand it up, make sure your fittings stay together. Keep that in the water. Run it as far or close to the bottom as you can. Turn the valve back on. And there she goes. Now what I'll do, I'll lay it down so I don't have to sit here and hold it. If I had it glued, maybe even wired into place, I could do that. But honest to goodness, I don't care because I'm going to use these pipes for 100 other different projects while I'm doing this. Now, this is something that needs to be thought of too, that you need to really keep in mind. These fish have their own biosphere, actually. You know, that's why I'm not too worried about the fish in that water over there looking kind of funky, because one thing I have learned is just like this with those terracottas, they get stuff growing on them, and the fish need that. It makes their water habitable. So I don't clean them up. Now I will clean the substrate in these filters, but I won't use regular tap water. Anything with city water, I won't use that. I'll use water that I have heated up in another tank that's already got all the chlorine and fluorine out of it. But if you do that, if you use city water, you totally wipe out any kind of biome that they need, and they need it. Well, it sounds like I hit the bottom of this one. So anyway, but like I said, with those terracotta, they need something to hide in. But I don't just stick them in the water straight from the store. I peel off any stickers they have. I stick them in the oven at 350 for like 30 minutes to an hour. Let them cool off naturally. That burns any kind of oil and crap off of it. And then I put them in the water and let them sit there. And the fish love it. They need a place to go hide. These fish are getting almost too big for these little terracottas, so I'll be putting bigger ones in, like what's in this one. I don't know if you can see those or not, but they use these like there's no tomorrow. What I'd like to do, this has a box filter at that end. Oh, hold on, right there. It has a box filter in there, and what it does is it's got a substrate in it, and with a filter in the bottom and little plastic balls. It sucks all the crap into it and then goes up and comes out, and I keep the tip off of the top of the water so it sprays and puts more oxygen in there. Now I have oxygenators in here, but that just adds more. And having oxygen in the water is a huge deal for these fish. They need to have that. So, but anyway, it's starting to come together. I'll show you these one more time. They look like they're got a lot more room to work around in. They hover around their hiding spots and their heater. Now I do have a pump down here at this end, and what it does is it basically just circulates the water around the pump to keep the water at a manageable temperature. But other than that, okay, part of the process of cleaning out the filter is I've got, like I said, this is all homemade stuff. So I have a bucket full of rock, and I don't know if you can see it or not. Let's see about getting some light on this. And it has a screen in the bottom of it that holds all the rock in one place, and then it's got holes in the bottom of it. And over here inside the thing, woo boy, that is disgusting. That is the filler, and that's gonna have to be rinsed out. Basically, the water, it goes through the rock, goes down, hits the bottom, goes out, it goes through the rock at the bottom, and then comes up through this stuff, and then hits these and runs into the tank. That's your filter process. And looks like I actually thought ahead and put that up on legs so that it would get it off the bottom. Cool deal. I also have this wrapped so that it holds the heat. So the water coming out of there is heated, goes in here, it doesn't freeze between here and there. I have had water freeze as it drips down from the condensation on the table, but other than that, that's about it. Anyway, I always keep a tank of water that's already got the chlorine out of it. It's heated, the whole 9 yards, so that if these tanks were to run down, or if I had a problem with a filter issue and it dumped water out all over the place and I needed to get more water in immediately, I can bucket it out into that or pump it out, whatever it takes. I also use this water to clean my filters. Like my rock, I'll have it put in here. I'll have it outside in the lick tub, and I'll dump clean water across it, across the medium, and wash it all out. I would like to do it over there in my clean out tub, but I just need to get this done so that I can get a filter set up. But anyway, so I'll get that going. Now, what I'll do is I'll take this water, dump it across the rock, kind of aggressively, shake it around. Now it's got screen down in here, so I want to move it around, kind of get stuff where it's pushing as much dirt and crap out of it as I can, because I want to try to get as much of the fish crap out of it as I can, because I don't really want to go dirty up this new water. But then again, even if it is a little dirty, it's okay. It ain't gonna hurt anything. But I'll probably make a couple more passes with this, then I'll move on to the filler material. Okay, now it's time to get the filament out and get it washed up real good. Kind of get some of the fish stuff out of it. Now, I can't express enough how nasty this filament really is, but it's done its job very well. So what I gotta do is, I don't want to buy new filament. This is trying to be cost effective and make a sustainable way of doing things. So I don't want to just throw this away every time. So what I'll do is clean this out as best I can. That way I keep the same bio for the fish, as well as taking care of this. So let me get this set up, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I have water in this tank here. I kind of wanted to wash it in the actual filter holding tank because I know what's in here. I don't know what's in that. So, and it doesn't, like I said, it don't have to be perfectly clean. I'm just trying to get some of the big crap out of it, quite literally. And, you know, that way you can kind of see what I'm doing. I mean, this is very hands-on. Now, you know, and this seems terrible. It seems like a lot of work. Really, I haven't touched these fish in months rather than feeding and adding water to their tank. So honestly, this is not that much work. It does take effort, you know, but kind of like earlier, I want you guys to see, you know, everybody has to, I see these things online and they're so idealistic, it makes you ill. Well, that stuff really sticks to you. If you got rough hands, it really sticks to you. Anyway, so idealistic, and it's just not realistic at all. This is the real thing. So, like I said, if you see me run off camera and don't come back for a minute, it's because I'm bleeding. I had to go find my wife. If I slip up and cuss sometimes, it's because I'm, you know, make mistakes, or I smashed my thumb, or something's happened. I'll try to make sure that I don't leave you guys in the middle of all with the bad words and all, but I want you to see everything, warts and all, because that way you know it's not one of these made up things. Now it's time for reassembly. Okay, you guys kind of saw how this come apart. I'm just going to go ahead and put it together so that way we're not holding the whole process up. I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking, but if you have any questions, put it in the comment and I'll answer it. But just watch me go. Well, that would have been easier to put on beforehand. Okay, I'll have to fix that better later. I better clean this off. Let me get this cleaned off real quick. I'll come right back. All right, got this back. Stretch this over the top. That just kind of keeps everything lined up. Shoot these down. This is very rudimentary, but it works. I mean, I've not had any problems with it. It just pulls, it makes the screen sit down more. And then You just kind of got to make sure that these don't get plugged up. That pulls tight. What I'll do is I'll run my pump down, bring it up, drop it right in this hole, get it rolling. Okay, we got it all together. I've put the filament in the bottom, buckets up in the air, rocks have been cleaned, screens have been cleaned. Put the pump and the filter box down in the bottom of this. Now it's filling it up slowly. I'll bring you over here so you can see. I'm not sure you can see it, but you can probably hear it. It's gradually filling in. It does take a second to fill up, and I will have to add water to this tank to get it to fill up. Now, I'm not 100% sure if any of you have actually looked back at my others to see what I'm doing and the reason I'm doing it. The whole thing is that, hold on a second, sure as the world. The whole thing is that this is supposed to help the problem out with grass in ponds. Well, my stick seems to be moving and it's, hold on a second. Sorry about that. That'll make somebody motion sick. But that's just another one of the problems that happens when you're doing this kind of stuff. When I first started this, years and years and years ago, now I haven't been doing this same thing for years and years. I've just been doing this for a little while because I wanted to do it again. I tried it once. We had an event happen with my son. He was in a really bad motorcycle wreck. And that's not an excuse, but everything kind of went to taking care of him instead of doing this, and everything just kind of went downhill fast. But my wife and I have been talking about this for years to do this again, and when I first started, I thought that it would be a food shortage deal, that I would be helping with food, that I would be helping society have a food source that was replenishable and easily taken care of. But when I started at this time, went back to this, I have realized that the food side of it, I'm not sure that that's viable. After you figure your cost of feed and your grow out area, you'd have to have a large, very large grow out area. And I just don't have that. I mean, I could, but it wouldn't be feasible for me to go build ponds to do this. But one thing we do have is cities now have like water treatment facilities, and they need a way of cleaning out the grass, because the way those lagoons work is the UV rays kills all the bacteria and everything. But let's say the ponds are covered with duckweed or moss or something like that. Well, it can't do it. So now you can dump a bunch of chemicals in there and take care of that. But the problem is chemicals are expensive. And not just that, I personally don't want to dump chemicals in my water. This is a sustainable, viable way of taking care of it. I can put a certain number of these in a lagoon, depending on the size and the area of it, and I can have them, they can eat all the grass off of it quickly. Now, they also produce so many more babies that they will constantly be producing more babies. Now, in a pond situation, like my ponds, my fishing ponds, if I put them in there, they produce so many babies that they're eating and growing quickly that the bass, the game fish that are in there, they eat them like they're candy. So you're feeding your game fish, they're eating the grass, And then when winter hits or cold weather, they die. They don't float to the top either. They go to the bottom. Well, that's starting to come out now. When they go to the bottom, that actually helps your pond. It helps your fish because they have something to eat on as well through the winter months. And next spring, whenever the water gets warm enough, we put more fish in. Either way, it's still cheaper than chemicals. It's ecologically friendly. It's a win-win, really. But as far as making tilapia food, I'm not so sure that would work. I mean, like I said, it would work. It would work, and I don't want to sound. It would work in states like down south, where the water stays warm all the time. Up here in Kansas, they're going to have to stay inside all the time. I'm going to have to keep heated tanks. Summertime I can get by with tanks staying like this, but not in the wintertime. So I'm not sure it's a good business plan, but it is a plan. So that's what this is about. I'm going to have to add more water to this. I'm going to have to put these tubes closer to the top of the water line so that it doesn't drive these fish crazy. I don't want to stress them in any way, and anything I can do to stop the stress level, I'm going to do. Well, I got tired of hauling buckets, so I hooked up a pump. I'm going to run it from this tank over to this tank. Get some more water in there. It's got to get. We need a lot more water, and I got to be honest with you, the whole 5-gallon bucket thing was getting old pretty fast. But I'll fill it up. I'll get it up there quite a ways. And what I'll do is with that tank, I'll fill it back up with regular water, let the chlorine work out of it, keep it heated up, and I'll use it, like I said, to fill up these as needed. But I was going to put ends on these, but I kind of want to see where my water level is. I want to keep it where it is breaking the surface tension of the water, because when it does that, it puts oxygen back in the water. These little bubblers don't do near enough. If you break the surface tension of the water, you add oxygen, you oxygenate the water. So when I can do that, I'll feel better about it. But I don't necessarily want a big old, this is too much noise. And maybe it doesn't bother the fish, I don't know. But I would just as soon do it this way. Well, crap. Here I was trying to make sure you guys saw everything, and my sump pump was incredibly quiet, and my tank was full, so I thought, well, I'm good. I'm just going to go ahead and unplug it. And unplugged the wrong thing, pulled the hose fitting off, got a whole face full of water. And that would have been a good one online. Anyway, wish you would have seen it, but kind of glad you didn't. Either way, I'll get this wrapped up and I'll come back to you in just a second. Okay, looks like I pretty much got this wrapped up. I filled up this other tank with a little bit more, put a little bit more in it. It still looks brackish. I'm going to clean the filter out in it before I'm done. Got this set up. I think those fish seem to be happy. If fish can be happy. I'm not sure about fish emotions or anything like that, but as far as fish go, they seem to be pretty content. I'll let them kind of hang out for a while before they, so they can kind of get used to where they're at and their surroundings, and kind of get over the shock of being moved, which, it's got to be some kind of shock to it. But I'll let them get over that, and then I'll feed them and let them get okay, and we'll just go from there. But I'm probably going to get a cover over this tank so that over the filter tank, or tank filter, so that it stays warm. It's not really cold today, but it is January 1st, so it's gonna get cold. It has been cold a few times, but it's just not cold today. So anyway, I'll get this wrapped up. Now it's pretty straightforward. I just bring a hose up here and now I'm filling it up. And I usually fill these up. I'll let them heat for a few days, and I have a circulator pump in there. It's above the water line right now, so once it gets to where there's water in there, I'll have that kicked on. I'll have the pump running. I'll have the heater running, the pump running, and I'll leave it uncovered. They said 24 hours gets all the chlorine out. If it does or not, I don't know. You said it for 3 or 4 days, 5 days, it will. So, I mean, I did it off camera. I cleaned that filter off camera. It'll, the brackish water, I'm sure I'll hear something about it. But once that's run for like a couple days, that water clears right up. It's still a little brown, but I haven't actually changed that water out in several months. So, I mean, I try to make it last because obviously I want to conserve water as part of a bill that goes along with it. But in all actuality, it's cleaner than pond water, and that's where they live. So, anyway, I'll get this wrapped up. We should be in pretty good shape. I'll come back and finish this up for you real quick. All right, I'll go out here and shut this all down. I think it's probably full enough. You got to pull the hose out of the tank or it'll siphon out, because that's a frost-free pump or frost-free hydrant. And what that means is when you shut that off, the valve is down underground quite a ways, and what it does is it sucks everything out from up top, lets it fall down underground into a gravel pit. Now let's say I have this inside here. Theoretically, it shouldn't, but experience has told me that it will sometimes suck out and you'll siphon everything you just put in there, especially with the hydrant being downhill from it. Anyway, what I meant to tell you was I'm not 100% sure I told you guys about the newest addition to our place out here. Maybe I did, I don't know. But had a farmer call me here a while back and had a couple hogs that he couldn't really take to market because they had a problem. And I was like, well, if the price is right, I'd be interested in them. And so here we go. I'll show you here in just 1 second. Let me get this turned around. Okay, here they are. That's the biggest one. I got her, she was 150 pounds. This is about 100 pounds. If you can't see already, this one has a hernia the size of a softball or a volleyball on it. That one has one, but it's only size of, it's not even as big as a baseball anymore. This one I got for next to nothing. And that's the reason why, is because of that. I was concerned. They said, well, it may not survive, so that's why you're getting it so cheap. My concern is even if it does, if I do get it to weight, and I take it to have it butchered, will they butcher it because of that? And they said, if you get it to weight, they'll butcher it. But I'm not sure. But anyway, so yeah, these are not pets. They would just soon eat you as look at you. They don't care. But anyway, so that's our new venture. But like I've said, every friggin' time I've been on here, it's not all fun and games. There's work involved. It's not necessarily always hard work. It's just work. You can't sit on a couch and expect it to happen, because it's not going to. I mean, wishing gets you nowhere. So, anyway, I guess what I'm saying is get off your butt and go to work. You'll sleep better at night. Till next time, you have a good one. We'll see you next time here at the farm.